That big idea keeping you up at night, the
Hmm.
passion, the drive. You're picturing the keynotes, the unicorn status, changing the world.
Right, the dream scenario.
But what about those other nights? The ones where, everything just goes wrong.
Yeah, when the dream feels more like well, a nightmare.
And you're questioning every single decision. Today, we're sort of peeling back the layers on that unvarnished reality of building a business.
It's so easy to get caught up in the romance of it all, isn't it?
Uh-huh.
The glossy success stories.
Definitely. The overnight sensations that took 10 years.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
But the real journey, the one Ben Horowitz gets into in The Hard Thing About Hard Things, it's much grittier,
Yeah.
more complex, frankly, pretty terrifying sometimes.
And it's not theoretical, right? This is from someone who's been deep in the trenches. CEO, founder, now VC.
Absolutely battle-tested. It's a roadmap through the absolute toughest stuff founders face. He's seen it all.
And that's exactly what we want to unpack today. Our mission, really, is to equip you, whether you're already a founder or just dreaming about it, with not just the what, but the why.
The why behind those brutal decisions you inevitably face.
Yeah. We'll dig into the surprising facts, those deeply personal stories, and the huge lessons Horowitz shares. Think of this as like your survival guide.
A shortcut to understanding the real journey ahead.
Exactly. Your guide to the entrepreneurial gauntlet. Let's dive in.
Okay. And what's really fascinating, I think, is where he starts. Not with, strategy or markets.
Right, not the usual B-school stuff.
No, he starts with his early life.
Yeah.
And it becomes clear super quickly that these moments, these formative experiences were absolutely crucial.
Shaping his resilience, his way of thinking.
Totally. His resilience, that independent thought, the unique perspective he brought later on, these weren't just like cute childhood stories. They were fundamental lessons.
Lessons in dealing with fear, challenging assumptions.
Exactly. Seeing beyond the surface.
You really see that in what he calls the Berkeley backdrop, growing up there in the 70s, 80s, the People's Republic of Berkeley.
Right. With card-carrying communist grandparents, no less.
And his grandfather, Phil Horowitz, the teacher who lost his job during the McCarthy era, that's intense.
It absolutely is. That's not just history. It's personal. It shapes how your family sees the world, authority, everything.
So it bred a kind of skepticism, a
Yeah.
questioning of conventional wisdom.
Deeply ingrained from a very young age. It wasn't about just accepting things. It was about questioning narratives, understanding where they came from, realizing that, accepted truths might be totally wrong.
Which is critical if you're trying to disrupt something.
Absolutely crucial. You can't innovate if you're afraid to challenge the status quo, what everyone else just accepts. It teaches you to look past the easy answers.
Find those untapped opportunities, or just find a way through when everyone else says it's impossible.
Exactly. See beyond the surface narrative.
That idea of questioning is powerful, but, it can be risky too. Did he talk about times where maybe it backfired or where he had to conform? Because as an entrepreneur, you're always balancing disruption with, well, reality.
That's a really good point, and it ties right into another powerful early lesson. This one's about fear. The Red Wagon story.
Okay.
He's 5 years old. Berkeley Street. An older boy, Roger, who significantly was later diagnosed with schizophrenia, dares him to do something awful.
Like really bad.
Yeah. Tells him to take another kid's red wagon, an African-American kid, spit in his face, and use a racial slur.
Oh, wow. At 5 years old, that's horrifying.
Totally horrifying. And Ben was terrified of Roger, the older boy, but also just deeply horrified by the act itself. A real moral conflict.
So, stuck between defying this intimidating older kid and doing something deeply wrong, what did he do?
He describes this intense internal battle, but ultimately the fear of Roger, that immediate physical threat, kind of pushed him forward. He starts walking towards the kid with the wagon, dreading it,
Thinking he's going to have to do it.
fully expecting to. But when he gets there, to the other boy, Joel Clark Jr., something just shifts. Those hateful words Roger wanted, they never came out.
What did he say?
Instead, in this moment of pure human connection, he just manages to ask, "Can I ride in your wagon?"
Wow.
And that simple question, it just dissolved everything, led to an immediate friendship. Joel became his best man years later.
That's incredible, those small moments, right? So what's the takeaway there for someone building a business? Someone facing fear constantly. Fear of failure, rejection.
Yeah, Horowitz reflects on that. He says it taught him, being scared doesn't mean you're gutless. Courage isn't not feeling fear.
It's what you do despite the fear.
Exactly. What you do defines you, hero or coward, not the feeling itself.
Yeah.
And crucially, it taught him Never judge by surfaces.
Don't assume.
Right. He says, until you make the effort to get to know someone or something, you don't know anything. No shortcuts, especially not shortcuts past direct personal experience.
That applies everywhere, right? Market research, customer interviews, team dynamics.
Absolutely. You can't rely on assumptions or stereotypes. You have to engage deeply, directly.
And this theme, understanding beyond the surface, avoiding assumptions, handling fear, it also shows up on the football field, which seems kind of counterintuitive for Berkeley.
Totally. Despite the town sort of frowning on football as too militaristic, he joined the high school team. And he learned quick. Handling fear was like 75% of the game.
Not just being tough, but overcoming that flinch instinct.
Exactly. And his introduction to it was legendary. Coach Chico Mendoza.
Ah, yes, the speech.
Oh, yeah. Not just a coach, a force of nature. Tough, old school. Gave this intense, poetic, profanity-laced speech. Basically, if you're not serious, turn your shit in.
But with details, right? Like all the ways you could possibly turn your shit in.
Meticulously.
Yeah.
Showing up late, not hitting hard enough, even calling him Chico. Ben found it terrifying and hilarious. Just raw leadership.
But it wasn't just yelling, right? It was a lesson.
Absolutely. A masterclass in setting expectations. Total conviction. Mendoza's directness, that unambiguous definition of commitment. It taught Ben that clarity, even brutal clarity, is powerful.
Leaves no room for doubt. You're either in or you're out.
Right. His first real lesson in leadership, he says. The ability to get someone to follow you, even just out of curiosity at first.
And for him, coming from that maybe more nuanced Berkeley background, encountering that starkness must have been something. How do you think that influenced him later as a CEO in crisis?
Oh, it definitely cemented that directness, even when uncomfortable, is often the way. But more broadly, the football team exposed him to totally different people than his calculus class buddies.
Different perspectives.
Totally different takes on the same world events, like Run DMC's first album, or Reagan's SDI, Star Wars. Football players saw it one way, calculus kids another.
So it taught him to separate fact from perception, that there isn't just one truth.
Exactly. That truth often lies somewhere in the mix of different viewpoints. Crucial skill.
And for an entrepreneur, being able to hold those alternative narratives, that's vital, especially when things look bleak. It keeps hope alive.
It's about perspective, yeah.
Yeah.
When everyone else sees only failure.
His early life kept delivering these tough lessons, didn't it? Especially around relationships. That blind date story with Felicia Wiley.
Oh yeah, 1986. He and friend cook all day for this dinner party. Felicia calls, says she's too tired to come.
Ouch. That's rough. Most people would just, be annoyed and let it go. Why do you think he pushed back?
Well, he didn't just accept it. He called her back. Introduced himself. She says again, too tired. And he just appeals straight to her empathy.
Laid it out.
Candidly. Explained the effort, the meal. Said basically not showing up would be rude and leave a, quote, permanently poor impression. Direct, but not aggressive.
She came.
She came. 90 minutes later. Ended up being his wife. It shows that courage to confront things directly, advocate for yourself, and maybe test character under pressure. His own, too. He wouldn't be dismissed.
That reinforces that no shortcuts idea again. No shortcuts to understanding character. And that same theme pops up with that pickup basketball fight story.
Precisely. Rushed in to defend his brother based on a first impression. Only later realized he might have completely misjudged the whole thing. Overreacted.
So again, don't leap to conclusions. Gather facts. Understand context. Resist reacting on gut alone.
Especially when the stakes are high. Critical lesson.
Okay, here's where it gets really practical for entrepreneurs listening. The story about his father. Hot day, crying kids, no AC.
Right. And the father says, kind of joking but not really, son, you know it's cheap? Flowers. Flowers are really cheap. But you know what's expensive? Divorce.
Wow. That hits hard.
It was a huge realization for Horowitz. He suddenly got it. He couldn't do everything simultaneously anymore, couldn't chase every ambition, every interest, and prioritize his family properly.
Trying to do it all meant failing at the most important part.
Exactly. He had to start seeing the world through priorities that weren't just his own. A critical lesson in putting first things first, considering others.
That's the constant struggle for founders, isn't it? Balancing the intense demands of a startup with personal life. That perpetual hard choice.
It really is. It highlights that deep personal sacrifice required if you don't find that balance, or at least make conscious choices about what truly matters. You need a sustainable personal foundation.
Absolutely. So those early lessons, the grit, the courage, prioritizing people, understanding deeply.
Mhm.
They really set the stage for this startup whirlwind.
And what a whirlwind. Netscape is where we see these lessons really start playing out on a massive scale.
Right. 1995, he doesn't have the typical Stanford, Harvard MBA. Recruiter even tells Felicia he probably won't get the job, lacks the pedigree.
Right, he gets the interview
Oh.
and gets hired by a 22-year-old Mark Andreessen.
Who he immediately sees as the smartest person I'd ever met.
Yeah, and that moment itself, hiring based on raw talent, not just credentials, says a lot about Netscape's culture and what founders need to do. Look past the resume, see the potential.
And Netscape just exploded, right?
Yeah.
IPO after only 16 months. Almost $3 billion valuation on day one.
Historic, defined the whole new economy, changed everything.
But then, boom, the existential threat. Microsoft, bundling Internet Explorer for free with Windows 95.
Yeah, not just competition, an attempt to suffocate them. Almost all Netscape's revenue was browsers. Microsoft owned the OS market. Devastating.
It forced that radical pivot to web servers, a sweet spot, trying to compete.
And the pressure was just immense. Horowitz talks about getting that brutal fuck you Mark email from Andreessen after losing billions in market cap.
On the same day, Andreessen's on the cover of Time magazine, barefoot.
The juxtaposition is insane.
Right.
Public triumph, private brutality, shows the emotional toll. Felicia's advice was literally start looking for a job right away.
Wow. That constant threat, even for the hottest companies, the vulnerability.
Incredible training, though, for what came next. LoudCloud.
So, armed with those experiences, he co-founds LoudCloud with Andreessen, raises $15 million from Benchmark, $45 million pre-money, then $45 million in debt. Things are looking good.
Until their investor, Andy Rachleff, asks that dangerous question.
Right. Then, think about how you might run the business if capital were free.
And in the crazy dot-com bubble of '99, that seemed liberating. But it led them down a really perilous path.
He took it to heart.
Ran with it. Rapid hiring, 30 people a month, 206 months. Fancy office, the Taj, astronomical burn rate.
Shows how market euphoria plus maybe well-intentioned advice can lead to disaster.
Exactly. Unsustainable spending. Then, the crash.
The dot-com bust. Suddenly need more money, but the climate's totally changed.
Overnight. Pitched SoftBank. Got feedback like they thought you were smoking crack.
Oh.
Nearly 300 employees, hardly any cash. That's when he learned the market of one rule for fundraising.
You only need one yes. Ignore the no's.
Right. They managed a Series C, but the market kept tanking. Private funding dried up completely.
That rapid shift. Euphoria to terror. He talks about those being the two main emotions, right? Amplified by no sleep.
Dizzying. By late 2000, LoudCloud was unfundable privately. 477 employees. Ticking time bomb. Facing bankruptcy.
But then that unattractive but intriguing option, going public.
Yeah, the weirdest thing. Private markets shut tight. Public market window. Still slightly open. Miraculously.
So he proposes it to the board, driven by Bill Campbell's blunt assessment. It's the fucking money.
Because there were literally no other options. It was an incredibly tough, counterintuitive call.
Going public with tiny revenue, huge losses, into a crashing market. Crazy.
And the pre-IPO period was a disaster. Only 3 weeks of cash left. Had to do a reverse stock split. Employee morale just tanked. Anger everywhere.
And personally, his wife Felicia had a life-threatening allergic reaction while he's on the roadshow.
The pressure was just almost unimaginable. Professional chaos, personal crisis. He talked about being totally discombobulated, wearing mismatched clothes. Yahoo CEO steps down the day before their offering. Felt like the world was ending.
But Felicia from the hospital.
Yeah, tells him, get the IPO done. There is no tomorrow for you and the company. Just extraordinary clarity and selflessness.
Incredible support.
Unbelievable. The IPO closes at $6 a share, raises $162.5 million. But no celebration. No party.
Scott Cooper's deadpan line.
Yeah, but we're still fucked. Perfect summary. It just drives home that whole cycle. Euphoria, terror, the psychological cost, the sacrifice, making the best bad move, survival.
Just getting to the next day is the win sometime.
Exactly. That is the win.
And that leads right into the wartime CEO concept. When the company's on the brink, facing that existential threat, the CEO has to transform. Is that just reactive, or does it take a certain kind of person?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think it's both. The situation absolutely forces the shift, but the leader has to have that capacity within them to make it.
We defines the struggle, right? Not failure itself, but what causes failure.
Right, especially if you are weak. Always if you are weak. But he also argues pretty profoundly that's where great thing comes from. surviving the struggle.
He offers some advice for it, but it's pretty brutal stuff.
Yeah, stuff that may or may not help. Play long enough to get lucky. Don't take it personally, even if it's your fault. That separates the women from the girls. It's stark, primal.
Hmm.
Counters that sanitized version of entrepreneurship.
That's a tough pill to swallow when you're in it. But he gives a framework, right? Wartime versus peacetime CEO.
Super illuminating. The contrast is stark. Peacetime CEO follows protocol, empowers, defines culture, has contingency plans, stable environment.
Can afford to delegate, build consensus.
Exactly. Wartime CEO, constant emergency, violates protocol, cares about every single spec because it could be critical. HR is doing layoffs, not hiring. The war defines the culture. No, sometimes you just got to roll a hard six, take huge risks. Paranoid. Heightens contradictions to force clarity.
It's like a completely different job description, a total psychological and operational shift.
Absolutely. And he lived it. His own transformation was critical for OpsWare's survival. He had to become that wartime CEO.
Shows how leadership has to adapt radically. What works in peace is terrible in war, and vice versa. Needs flexibility, maybe ruthlessness.
Which many founders just aren't prepared for.
And one of the most brutal wartime tasks? Layoffs. Doug Leone, the VC, was amazed OpsWare survived 3 massive ones, said it violated VC physics. How did Horowitz say they did it the right way?
This is so critical because it's unfortunately common. He gives 5 steps. First, get your head right. Acknowledge it's painful, but focus totally on the company's future survival. No sentimentality.
Okay, step 2.
Don't delay. Once the decision's made, move fast. Prevent leaks. If managers know too far ahead, they might lie, leak info, or just create mass anxiety. Swift cut is better than long uncertainty.
Makes sense. Step 3 sounds crucial for trust. Be clear in your own mind about why.
Absolutely vital. Frame it as company failure, not individual failure. The message has to be, the company failed, we have to lose excellent people to move forward. Essential for rebuilding trust with those staying.
Okay, step 4. Train your managers. This one's powerful.
Yeah, the golden rule. Yeah. Managers must lay off their own people, no passing the buck. Why? Because people remember every detail of that day. Your manager's reputations, the company's reputation, depend on them handling it with dignity. Prepare them. Clear explanations, non-negotiable decision, all the benefits info. Empower them.
And the last step, 5. Address the entire company.
Also key. CEO gives context before the layoffs. And remember, the message is mostly for those staying. Treat people leaving with respect, empathy, but don't over-apologize. The company has to move on. It turns a necessary evil into an act of leadership, really.
Empathy, transparency, preserving culture under duress.
Exactly. It's those people decisions, always the hardest. And beyond layoffs, there's firing or demoting executives, people you trust, worked with for years.
His take on firing an exec is interesting. Often a system failure by the CEO, poor role definition, generic hire, lack of support.
Yeah, it's a tough mirror, but crucial for accountability, preventing repeats. He stresses informing the board the exec clearly, decisively, generous severance, and try to preserve their reputation. Trashing them reflects badly on you. It's about integrity.
And demoting a loyal friend. Gut-wrenching.
Totally. Deeply personal. He says acknowledge the embarrassment, the betrayal they'll feel. Be honest, clear, effective. Explore other roles if genuinely viable. Painful, but sometimes necessary to get the right people in the right seats for survival.
Again, integrity even when it hurts people you care about. Because the company depends on it.
And that radical honesty extends inward too. Lies that losers tell.
Oh yeah, the self-deceptions. She left, but we were gonna fire her anyway. Missing milestones doesn't mean we won't hit the schedule. Churn's just bad email marketing.
He brings in Andy Grove's insight. We only listen to positive indicators, explain away the negative. Cherry-picking data, we all do it.
That confirmation bias.
Right. But for leaders, self-deception is like a cancer. You have to seek out and face uncomfortable truths. Can't fix what you won't admit is broken.
And then there's that brutal line from Bill Parcells, nobody cares, just coach your team.
The ultimate wake-up call, maybe? Nobody cares about your excuses, your bad luck, the market, the competition. All energy has to go into finding that one seemingly impossible way out.
0 time on the past, all time on what you might do now.
Relentless action. No lamenting.
Okay, so with those harsh realities faced, how do you actually endure? Keep building, pivoting, adapting on the edge. OpsWare's 60 Days to Live pivot seems like a key example.
Another existential crisis. 90% of revenue from one client, EDS. EDS wants to cancel due to tech issues. gave them their money back. Game over for Opsware. Doomed again.
Circling the drain.
Totally. He sends his lieutenants, Rosenthal and Wright, to Texas to negotiate. The key lesson: remove roadblocks daily. Find the critical leverage point.
And they found something weird about the EDS exec, Frank Johnson.
Yeah, the guy making the decision. He openly said he hated his job and his family.
Whoa, how is that useful?
Crucial insight. It meant Frank expected to get screwed by Opsware. He was primed for the worst. They needed something dramatic to break his psychology.
Yeah.
Something unexpected offering him personal value.
Not related to his job or family, like the airport bar analogy.
Exactly. Anthony Wright frantically searches for this exciting value and finds it. A small software company called Tangram.
Okay, so by Tangram.
Here's the thing. Tangram was tiny, public, worth $6 hours. Horowitz's entire team said NO. Bad tech integration, old tech, lost money constantly, all the conventional reasons not to buy.
When Horowitz.
Wartime CEO, had the complete picture, including Frank Johnson's psychology. Made a unilateral call. I didn't care about any of that. We were going to buy Tangram. Bold. Counterintuitive.
Yeah.
Save the company by giving EDS that unexpected win.
Courage and intelligence with incomplete info, against the grain. Amazing.
And right in the middle of this survival fight, the take care of people principle comes through again. The former Tangram CFO, John Nelly.
Develops brain cancer right after the acquisition.
Yeah, not officially Opsware yet, pre-existing condition, no insurance coverage, treatment. $200,000 would ruin his family.
And Horowitz, while fighting for Opsware's life.
Decides instantly, pay for it, find money, didn't expect to hear about it again. 15 months later, gets this incredibly heartfelt letter from Nelly's wife. Shocked by his kindness, said he saved her from despair, let her keep living.
Wow, that's leadership.
Deeply human, costly short-term, sure. But the trust, the cultural impact, immense, far outweighed the cash, shows your values define you, even in the worst times.
Truly sticks with you. And that brings us to lead bullets. No silver bullets for huge threats.
Right. You often just have to build a better product, go through the front door, stop looking for shortcuts or pivots when the core product just isn't winning.
Like Netscape beating Microsoft server performance through pure engineering. Or Opsware regaining the lead against Blade Logic by improving the product.
Innovation needs knowledge, skill, courage. Sometimes ignoring customer feedback for a real breakthrough. If you're always dodging the core product fight, maybe ask, if we aren't good enough to win, should we exist? A call to fundamental excellence.
He also talks about management debt, like technical debt, but for process.
Yeah, the cost of delaying things like performance reviews, feedback structures, clear decision-making, the soft stuff that becomes a hard problem.
A silent killer.
Leads to systematically crappy company performance. Inability to course correct. He admits his own mistakes, like trying to linearize sales quarters or focusing only on easy metrics that created bad incentives.
So experienced CEOs learn to put in the hard work on process early.
They opt for the hard answer to avoid that debt. Process isn't bureaucracy, he realized. It's a communication bus for scale, essential for information and decisions to flow.
Which leads right into hiring and retaining talent at scale. Another huge challenge. He warns against the scale anticipation fallacy.
Right. Don't prejudge if an exec can scale. It's learned. Hard to judge early. And judging early can actually stop them from developing.
Focus on performance now. Evaluate scalability only when needed.
Exactly. Avoids replacing good people now with potentially scalable but maybe wrong-fit people later. He also talks about the law of crappy people.
Uh-oh, what's that?
Talent for any title eventually converges to the crappiest person with that title, like the Peter Principle.
How do you fight that?
Discipline promotions, crisp role definitions, leveling across groups, maybe a promotions council for consistency and high standards.
And then there are those smart people who are bad employees. The heretic, the flake, the jerk.
The brilliant but destructive types. The heretic undermines everything. The flake is genius but unreliable. The jerk destroys communication with belligerence.
He uses the hold the bus idea from sports coaches.
Yeah, Madden, Phil Jackson. You can only hold the bus for one superstar jerk, like T.O. or Rodman. And even then, the leader has to personally manage them, mitigate the cultural damage.
You have to weigh, does their contribution truly outweigh the destruction?
And you can't tolerate politics or purely destructive behavior, no matter how smart they are. Culture and communication have to work.
Becoming CEO, he says, it's an unnatural job. Doing things that upset people short-term to be respected long-term. Even giving feedback feels weird at first.
And he hates the shit sandwich feedback method. Compliment, criticism, compliment. Says it's fake, senior people see right through it.
So what's effective feedback?
Be authentic. Genuinely want them to succeed. Don't get personal. Don't clown them publicly. Tailor it, not one size fits all. Be direct, but not mean.
Yeah.
And crucially, feedback is a dialogue, not a monologue.
You might be wrong. Encourage challenge.
Absolutely. And it needs to be high frequency,
A lot.
a constant pulse. Let people know what you think, good or bad. Creates clarity, high standards. The CEO is the keeper of the vision, the story. Needs smarts, logic, and profound courage.
Especially betting the company on incomplete info.
Always betting the company. And he lived that right to the end game. Selling Opsware to HP for $1.65 billion.
After that incredible struggle, taking it from $29 million post-IPO to $1.65 billion in 5 years.
He talks about the emotional toll. Selling something built with all of my life force. Like selling a piece of himself, then realizing, surprisingly, it was the smartest thing I'd ever done.
Knowing when you've hit that local maxima, the right time to sell, even if it hurts.
Exactly.
And the final act. The Andreessen Horowitz vision, which came, ironically, from being asked when you're going to get a real CEO.
That humiliating paradox. Founders constantly having to prove themselves to investors who expect them to eventually step aside. It led him and Mark to build a different kind of VC firm. Founder-friendly.
Modeled after CAA, Michael Ovitz's talent agency.
Yeah, systematizing support for entrepreneurs. Networks for sales, recruiting, PR, investors. Going beyond just writing checks.
Yeah.
Even defying VC secrecy with the A16s brand.
A full circle moment, using their own struggles to help the next generation.
Giving them the support they wish they'd had navigating that gauntlet.
So we've walked through it all. The highs, the lows, guided by Horowitz's really candid insights. Finding courage, navigating crashes, making painful people calls, embracing those lead bullets. It's never easy.
No, it is, like he says, a struggle, a gauntlet. Tests everything you have.
But the key takeaways for you, listening, they're powerful. First, the struggle isn't just inevitable, it's where growth happens. Don't hide from it.
Right. Embrace it. It forges you. And second, prioritize people. Truly take care of them. Invest in them, the culture, even over short-term profit. Your human capital is everything.
Third, be ready to become that wartime CEO when crisis hits. Have the courage, the clarity to make those hard, unpopular calls. Survival first.
And finally, radical honesty. With yourself, your team. That brutal truth. Nobody cares. Just run your company. Excuses get you nowhere. Focus, action. That's the only way.
So as you think about your own journey, or the one you're planning, what hard thing are you facing right now?
Yeah, what's that deeply uncomfortable solution, that lead bullet that maybe you're avoiding? Because it feels too hard, too lonely, too unpopular.
Because as Horowitz reminds us, yeah, technology might have lowered the financial bar to start a company.
But the courage bar for building a great company, one that truly lasts and makes a difference.
That remains as high as it has ever been.